This podcast is going to talk about how we can get over the worry that we might have for the markets, as well as how we can travel well for less, which is my thing. But now it's even more important given what's going on with our retirement and our investment accounts. So I'm so glad that Pam had time to talk with us and share her views. And she's talking to lots of people about what's going on in the market. And if you don't know Pam Krueger is founder and president of WealthRamp, and they do amazing work with not only financial advisors, but us investors on finding the right financial advisor for you. So it's a great website, wealthramp.com, and you can read all about Pam there. And she's such a fierce advocate for financial well-being, and goodness knows in our retirement and before our retirement, but it's too late for that. So right now we've got to work with what we have. Pam, welcome to Where's Babs? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. A number of reasons for that. So the markets have been volatile. It's an emotional time when you're getting these monthly reports, or goodness knows if you're going online to look at them every day. Probably a good idea. And fear can often put us against our best interests, that we get a little worried. And so we want to talk a little bit, we start on protecting our sanity.
Exactly.
So if you're watching, how are you feeling about the markets? Good, bad, or okay? Put that in the chat. And I know that you talk to people in the financial markets, Pam, and advisors every day, and everyone is trying to navigate this. So my question is, what advice do you have for managing not only your investments, but the impact on your headspace?
Okay, so I start from a place of saying, you don't have any reason to change or do anything or to react. And you certainly don't want to push the sell my stocks, sell all my investments button right at the point where things have gone down. Little perspective here. This is not 08. Remember back in 08? Every headline on every newscast was, today, people with 401k plans were feeling that they've been cut in half because the market's gone down by 50%. And they kept measuring it by how Americans had money in their 401ks. And they were making people crazy. And you know what? Down 50%, a lot of people just said, I can't take it anymore back then. And they sold at the lowest point because they couldn't stand to see it go down any lower, right? So they're like, I got to get out now before it goes down any lower.
And it shoulda, coulda, woulda last month, should have made a decision earlier. So now they've decided to make a decision at its worst point.
Well, what happened after the market went down 50%, and a lot of people did just say, I'm out of this boat, I'm bailing. It went straight back up and never stopped. So some people missed that entire recovery. So with every deep downturn is a recovery. Okay, it's just been since the beginning of history of the stock market. So
we don't know how long it's going to take, but it's going to happen.
And it's going to happen that we are going to experience, if you're in your 50s, you're likely to experience at least 3 recessions, because they come along about every 6.5 years or so. They last a few months. The market will go down. But this time, Barbara, you would think, because of all the whipsaw and all of everything saying, oh my God, 1,000-point losses in one day, huge swings. But really, at the end of the day, we're not really off of the record high that happened in February for the stock market. We're not off that far. We're down like something like, as of today's recording, maybe 15%. I didn't actually check today, but I think today was pretty mixed. But essentially, it's really what people are looking at and what people are feeling are, of course, the real impacts, like what's going to happen when these tariffs are actually in place. Will we see higher prices? How much will those higher prices be? What will interest rates do? The ground is shifting beneath our feet. We can't control it. So the best thing to do, and here's the advice part of it, just cutting right to the bottom line, if you have a plan that's a financial plan with a strategy that has resilience built into it because you've already stress tested for bad markets, that means you don't have to take any money out of the market because you already have enough in cash. So the money that you're going to spend today is in cash. You're not going to spend
What's in the
all
market?
of that money that's really all about investments for the next 30 years. You're not going to spend that right now.
Right.
You're going to take the money out that's not impacted by ups and downs.
And it's
So
so
leave
tempting.
other alone.
It's so tempting to react when you hear all the noise, right?
Of course.
And always say the same thing about travel. Panic is expensive, right?
I'm going to steal that because panic is expensive and it's the fastest way to, if you want to guarantee you're going to lose money, just do something out of panic. You will lose money.
Chaos.
There's no
Never make
question.
decisions in chaos.
When cooler heads prevail and you actually say to yourself, wait a second, what can I control and what can't I control? The most important part is to understand that here's where the emotion can really work for you, Barbara. That emotion that makes me afraid, oh, I've got money at stake. You know what that does? It tells me, hey, have I paid attention?
Right.
And assessed, not judgy, but have I looked at where I stand right now, especially in the context of trying to plan for travel? Do I know where I really am? And if the emotional part of it is that, oh my God, I need to do something, maybe what that reaction's about is that I don't really know what's going on with my own money.
Yeah.
Once you do, and once you get a plan that's fortified, you won't be thinking about it because you'll know I've got a plan. My plan is like a fortress.
Yeah. Right.
I'm okay.
So stick to the plan. The other thing is, if you guys have questions, specific questions that you want to ask, please put them in the chat wherever you are on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll be happy to answer them. So, how our money, cash or investments, long term, can affect our travel dreams? Travel can be a very emotional dream, right? I want to see Rome. I want to see Hawaii. Maybe places that are far away, let alone your local national or state park. And sometimes those are tied to your financial well-being or your financial confidence. So when markets get shaky, it's tempting to cancel plans or stop dreaming. So let's talk travel for a minute, because again, travel well for less is what I'm all about. But rocky markets can make it feel out of reach. We can delay what we're doing, and it delays living our best life. So Pam, how do you think about balancing the financial security and keeping travel dreams alive when it's shaky, knowing that it's a long-term thing? And if you're listening, I'd love to know in the chat, have you delayed, canceled, or kept the plans that you've made so far? So
this is exactly why I love what you're talking about, because this is me right now. This is where I am in life right now. I'm planning a trip to Thailand. I'm going. I'm going, but when you really think about it, isn't life a series of trade-offs? And especially when it comes to money, every day of the week. Now, for some people, the trade-offs are pretty darn nice. Should I take the 60-day cruise or maybe rent the villa in Tuscany? Other times, it's not a fun trade-off. There are times in life and there are situations where you're literally saying to yourself, oh my God, I need a vacation so bad. It's so well-deserved. Do I take the vacation? I know I really can't quite afford it truly, but I need it. Or should I stay home and cover my mortgage, my groceries, all my bills without any stress? So sometimes you have to ask yourself, is the travel going to stress me out more because I would be less stressed and more relaxed without the vacation and staying home? So,
or feel guilty.
All personal trade-off that you have to decide what your soul is craving. And you have to have some degree, and this gets back, and I'm going to say it over and over and over. No matter how small your budget is, no matter how medium your budget is, no matter how large it is, you've got to have that sense of plan beneath your feet, that fortification so that you can know the reason that I know that I am going to take this well-deserved vacation. And I admit that I shouldn't be spending that money right now on this, but my soul needs it. And damn it, I'm going to do it because I've already got a plan that tells me how my guardrails work for the following 2 months when I get back.
So
And
here's
I'm
the
gonna
other thing.
plan
You're
for
going to
it.
Thailand, right? You're going to Thailand.
Yeah,
And for the US dollar, going to Thailand is a good thing.
that's right
The
now.
dollar
Asia,
will
yeah,
actually,
Asia's good right now. Yeah,
Asia,
Vietnam.
Europe, not so much. Japan, amazing. Australia, amazing. There are so if you look, you can actually stretch it. Maybe instead of going for a month or whatever, you're going to go for 2 weeks. Maybe that, and there are lots of ways that we can adapt our travel. Shoulder season. So this is summer. Europe is expensive anyway during the summer. All the kids are off. Families go like crazy.
Right.
I would not really be caught dead in Europe that time during the high season. Prices are insane. Booking way in advance or last minute can save you money. So that's the other thing. If you either want to cancel or book something and you're retired and you have the flexibility and you see something a week from now and you can go and the price is absolutely, oh my God, take it.
Yeah, you can jump on it. I can't. I'm not retired.
No,
I'm
but I'm
working.
just saying, but those are the people who are listening who are
Right,
retired. The
right.
other thing is, I want people to think about too is just like in cars, at the end of the quarter where they want to sell a lot of cars, these publicly traded companies also have earnings reports. And they want at the end of the quarter to be able to report to their investors and to Wall Street that they have 100% bookings or overbooked or whatever it is. So that is also a time at the end of the quarter to start looking and see where the specials are going on. And this just allows you, if you need to go because you need that break and to get away from that headspace, and so a couple things, you can go shorter. You can go where your currency goes longer. You can do something last minute. You can find deals and sales. So I don't think it's an all or nothing.
I agree. And you know what? It's very similar to investing because a lot of times people will say, should I be in or should I be out? And the answer is no. It's not a matter of in or out. It's how to be in. So with travel, same thing. It's not a matter of saying yes or no, black, white. It's like, wait a second, how to
Lots
be
of
in,
ways.
how to be able to travel. That's the question. And that's where you have, look at, I'm wearing my Cape Cod thing, my Cape Cod shirt. Because
I'm in Chicago. I left Las Vegas. I'm in Chicago for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you're in Chicago by the waterfall behind you.
I know, from Quasi Falls. Yes. I was trying to look for a Chicago one, but I was blocking the Wrigley Field clock. So I thought, oh, that's not a good screenshot. A couple of things that I wanted to share with you were our website, where'sbabs.com. And then Pam has a wonderful podcast, Friends Talk Money. So you should take a look at that. I'll put those in the chat in a minute. And then, of course, my blog and YouTube has a lot of how-to on travel well for less. Okay, practical moves in the weeks ahead. So we talked about, you're not in or out in the market, and you shouldn't be in or out of travel. Worrying doesn't help if you have a solid plan and you've had that discussion with your financial planners or yourself and your family in terms of what you're going to do. So looking at your travel plans, should you book 26 and 27? I'm finding a lot of deals out there. So they want you to book no matter what's going on. And they're going to do something because anything, an airplane, a tour, an all-inclusive empty makes them no money. So businesses need to do this as well. Off-season travel, we talked about the currency exchange. We talked about focus on travel that brings you joy. If you think it's going to be a slog to go through Japan or go to the expo in Japan that's going on now for the next 6 months, don't do that.
Yeah.
You need a beach vacation, and maybe you're closer to a beach than we are at the moment. You're on the beach. I'm not. So maybe a weekend or a week on the beach, affordable. Just get away. So give us a couple of practical things that people can do this week, Pam, to get their sanity back or to feel better about what they're doing and live their best life.
Well, I do think that with all the uncertainty, we hear that word over and over and over. I'm getting sick of it already, and I've been saying it all the time. Swirling around us, all these question marks swirling around us. I think you have to set your own personal financial boundary. This is not about limiting yourself and what you can do. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about protecting your peace of mind. Because think about it, when you know that there's that weird interplay between travel is so important to me and so many of us, and the smartest thing that I can do is make sure that I'm not borrowing from, creating more worries tomorrow by, doing something today. You've got this sort of boundary that has to be, there's a lot of interplay that's very, very personal. I feel like I want to say to spend what you can afford without any guilt at all, but to spend what you can afford, but without any guilt. That's very different from saying go on a splurge and hell with it. And it's not because of your finances that I'm saying that as much as it's because of the peace of mind around your finances. And I'm telling you, I promise you this, if you are anchored in, I know we keep using the word plan. If you have a strategy and you know kind of where you are, it's going to help you so much because you're not going to be guessing as much. You've got some guardrails there. You know that if you travel, you're still going to be able to cover your essential expenses. Now, I'm going to pull back, like in my trip to Thailand. I know it's far. And so just like you said, I want to make some adjustments. I want to go for 3 weeks. And I kept saying, I'm not going all the way to Thailand for less
For a
than
week.
3 weeks. But now I'm the girl who's saying, I'm going for 2 weeks. And you know what? I would love to stay here and there and everywhere, but I'm going to narrow it down to 3 places that I really want to go. And I'm going to look for, the medium, moderate, really clean, beautiful hotels, not the 6-star hotels. And I'm just going to make these adjustments because my peace of mind it's just going to make me feel better to know that there is a lot of uncertainty around, and I want to feel financially fortified. So it isn't about getting back to, should I travel or not? Travel or not? It's how. So just think about being open-minded at whatever, whether you fly first class, business class, economy, super duper economy. Just try to think about how you can make this work where your peace of mind, but I feel like I want to say, don't even leave the house to go to the airport until you know that you do understand your strategy for your bigger picture, for your retirement, for the money that's going to take care of you for the rest of your life. That's important.
Yep. I'm going to give a couple of my tips too. You can also find local adventures that keep you going. You could go away for 2 days locally. You could go away for a Viator tour of a place in your hometown that you've never been to. Book way early or last minute. We talked about that. Research. And, as a full-time traveler, 40% of my time is booking travel or looking for travel and researching travel and then making a decision. And there's a whole big notes and, OneNote and all sorts of stuff full of options. Watch the currency exchanges. I mean, it just makes your money go farther. And I'm not talking about getting cash. I'm not talking about going in the bank. I'm talking about when you use your credit card where you're earning points and miles, right?
Yeah.
That currency exchange, when you pay for that bill or that invoice or your meal or your hotel, it'll be less expensive for you. And credit card airline points. It's interesting in our group that I talk with a lot, Pam, I don't use credit cards. I pay cash. It's sort of a generational thing. And when we start talking about, we have these points and mile earning credit cards, but we pay them off every month. So we're using our cash over here to earn points over there, right? So we use a credit card, we pay it off.
I just did that for my upcoming trip to Banff.
Yeah. The other thing is that they need you, if you haven't gotten into that credit card points game, you need to look for bonus offerings. So at least every 18 months, because I need to be careful with the credit, is that you apply for a new one that'll give you 100,000 of bonus points. And you could spend anywhere from, needing to spend $1,000 in the next 3 months to $15,000 in the next 3 months. So you have to read the terms and conditions. NerdWallet is a great pros and cons of the kind of credit card you're looking for and what are the bonuses without getting hosed on annual fees. And they'll tell you all of that. So I get the generation of I pay cash for everything.
Yeah.
But if you want to travel well for less, earning those miles when you're not flying, because this is to buy the gas you always buy. This is to buy the food for the grocery store you always buy. Girlfriends go out for coffee. You're always using a credit card. So it's a matter of that all adds up. When I started 21, I left. By 22, I'd earned 236,000 miles and hadn't flown anywhere, and that's bonus miles and triple miles, and you get whatever. So, and now I'm at almost 500,000 miles. So those pay for hotel rooms, they pay for seats.
It sure does.
They pay for all that.
That's
So
$5,000 in the, the way that the points work out right there.
And then the other thing is, like you said, Pam, people have cash and they have investments. So do you decide now to put aside money for a travel fund? You have that cash, if you have that cash, and every month you decide to add to it from whatever.
Yeah.
And say, okay, so, but that also can go farther depending on currency and depending on that credit card bonus.
For me, again, it gets back to the trade-offs, Barbara. For me, okay, one of the big things that I fight with myself is, I'm telling you, I want to travel a lot. I've got a lot of wanderlust right now. And at the same time, I'm dying to build this little casita in my backyard with an outdoor kitchen. And so I hear myself going, there's this fund, there's that fund. And I'm going to be able to do both, but I can't do it both at the same time. So I have to feed this, I have to feed that, I have to feed myself at the same time.
I think the other question is, Pam, too, because you're not retiring yet, but I think the other question is, if you have a home, because you all know I don't have a permanent home, but if you have a home, is that where you want to invest your money, given that you want to travel more than you have in the past? So I love your idea of the casita, right? But the question is, if you're not going to be home a lot, maybe I should move that over to the travel fund. These are all conversations you should have with yourself, right? And decide. So for me, not having a home meant I didn't have overhead, mortgage, rent, anything. And that money went directly into travel.
Yeah.
So that gave me a little bit more freedom. So I think for the listeners and the people that are on, watching, think about, like you said, you can do both, but you can't do them at the same time.
Some people can do both and do them at the same time. I'm not one of them.
Absolutely.
I don't want to get into one of these things in my head where I say, am I in or am I out?
And then you're paralyzed.
I don't want to do the black and white. I want to say, Pam, how? Okay, how can I do this and that over what period of time and keep my own peace of mind? Well, I can't do that unless I stress test the different what if scenarios and different assumptions. Once I've stress tested it, then it helps me make a decision, and it makes me say, I want to do the casita, but it's going to wait 3 years because right now I don't want to go out and get a new mortgage right now to finance it. My house here is practically paid off. I think I'm going to travel, but I've already got the plans drawn up. So it's in my head. It's not a question of, oh no, I can't do this. It's like, no, figure out how and when. That's all. I'm a how and when person.
And what we wanted to give you today was we wanted to reinforce the idea of calm. And we always have choices. And it's an old saying, don't make major decisions during crisis, whatever that crisis can be. And you define what a crisis is, but you don't make big decisions under crisis. You're not alone. We're all in this together. You'll go up to Canada and they'll give you a hug. I swear to God. You go overseas and people will shake their head at you and you go, yes, I know. You can still travel if you want. Even in the shaky market, we wanted to give you hope and some ideas of how you can do that and leave you feeling better and more uplifted than maybe when we started.
Yes.
Anything tonight, if we made you feel a little more hopeful, put a yes or a no in comments, but we would love to hear from you. And Pam, thank you so much for joining us. It was
my gosh,
as always.
Thank you, Barbara. And listen, the last thing I want to say is don't be afraid to look at where you stand Don't be afraid of it. Don't judge it. Just look at it and then take a deep breath and say, okay, it's not a yes or a no. It's a, okay, how? That's all.
Yes. Wonderful. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful night. I hope you're still travel planning and have a wonderful week ahead. Bye.
Bye.